We got a real treat for you today, folks. The Lost Bookshop.
I'm excited.
I'm really liking this book so far, and I really think that this could be turned into a film.
Ooh, who?
Easy. The answer is Saoirse Ronan,
Okay. I love
Andrew Garfield,
Okay,
Shut
love
up.
him.
and then I don't know her name. British lady who was in Captain America as
his girl. Okay, I don't know her name
as
either.
the other
but
lady.
I would have loved if you said British lady and you were like had the name.
So this book, The Lost Bookshop, it is a book that goes back and forth between two timelines, which I don't care for. This works. It's a simple timeline. It's just a cute story. There's love and there's
This is the first time you've been excited about a book you've read.
I know.
This is fun.
I know. One timeline is 1920s in England and in Ireland, and then the other timeline is present day Ireland. The 1920s timeline follows a lady by the name of Opaline Carlyle.
Opaline?
Opaline. Opaline. Carlyle. And she is a Banff. She's in her early 20s at this point, I believe, living in England, and she's a feminist. And in the 20s, obviously, feminism was like, not a thing, not respected. And she is like, I can do what I want. I am powerful. There's more to my life, and I'm meant to do more than just get married and yada yada. Her dad has passed away, and she has a brother. The brother, whose name I forget, was in the military, and prior to military action, he was like a pretty normal, pretty good guy. Went to the military, had a very rough experience, became a very dark human. He might come into play in the second half of the book, I don't know, but he has a smaller part in the first half. The brother wants to force her, Opaline, to get married. Basically, this is your job as a woman. You need to get married. I'm the man of the house, yada, yada, yada. Opaline is obsessed with books, loves books, and she got that from her dad. Her dad had a deep love of rare books, collecting books, reading stories. So Opaline has just always felt drawn to the stories, and it feels very connected to her dad through the stories. So it's very cute, their relationship. He's in it for only, I don't even know if he's in it. They mentioned him just barely at the beginning.
Who would play him?
Gary Oldman.
Whoa.
He's one of those where I'm like,
he could play
the Queen of England, and I would sign up for that.
Yeah, for sure. We love you, Gary. Sponsor our video. Anyway, so before he passes away, he leaves Opaline some rare books, right? And I have to look at the name. One of her favorite author is a lady by the name of Emily Bronte. Is that a real author? Okay. Sorry.
The way you said a lady by the name of Emily Bronte, and
I don't know.
Oh, the Emily Bronte. Okay.
Is she famous? Okay.
It's the Bronte sisters.
Okay, so she loves Emily Bronte, right? Anyway, and she has some really first edition Dickens and some really rare books. And so one night she gets up the gusto. She says, "Screw this! I am not going to be pegged and just made to marry someone that I don't know. I don't want to marry just because my brother says so. I'm out." And she grabs her rare books and she goes to a bookshop and she tells someone, "What can I get for this whatever Dickens novel?" And they're like, "Holy crap, man! This is a really rare book." Some bookshop guys I'll give you £20 for it, which in the 20s I'm assuming was just a ton of money. She says, "Yep," and she says, "I'll get that book back one day. I'm not worried about that, but I'm getting out of here." Takes the £20 and hightails it to France. It's like, I'm done. I'm gonna. And all she has is £20 in her pocket and some books, right? In a dream, we love Opaline, right? She's just the greatest character. Brave, spunky. It gets to France, looking to start anew. She doesn't know what she's gonna do, and she comes. There's a street paintings and street kind of like a farmer's market in France.
Vendors,
yeah, obviously just France and beautiful.
In the 20s, too.
In the 20s. She's talking with this book dealer, and she's just like, oh, she finds some rare edition of something, and she's like, I want this book. And she buys it for a couple pounds. And she's like, whoa, hold on, dude. You don't have anywhere to stay. You don't have anything, to do. And you're spending money on books. Stop buying books. Just figure out your life first. And up walks Armand. And Armand is exactly how he sounds. He is tall. He is dark. He is handsome. He is Armand, right? And so Armand is like just. He reminds me. Who's the prince on Princess and the Frog?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Naveen.
Oh.
Prince Naveen.
She paints the picture of him, kind of just like tan and just gorgeous, right? Just this gorgeous guy. And she immediately is like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with you. And like loves this guy, Armand. And he's just smitten. Turns out this guy is hustling books for Armand. And Armand is in the rare book dealing world. And so they start to bond over like these books, and she's kind of like melting at Armand, but she's like, I don't need a man. Like I'm here to sell books, but she's just can't get over the fact of how great Armand is, right? And he's just charming, and he's nice. He's not a bad guy, at least up until this point in the book. He's not done anything wrong.
Who would play him?
Justin Baldoni.
I was just gonna say that.
For Justin.
Gonna say that. Please, he needs a redemption arc.
She's trying to get her bearings, and she finds this bookshop, and there's like a French lady and like an American lady that are running this bookshop, and her name is Sylvia, the main lady. The bookshop owner's name is Sylvia, and Opaline walks in and is basically like, you're gonna say something?
Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep. And is basically like, hey, I don't know what you guys do, but I want to work at this shop, and you need to hire me because I love books more than you can possibly imagine. And they're like, you're in, kid.
Oh my gosh.
And so she's just like taking the world by storm when she gets this job making next to nothing, but she lives like kind of above the shop or whatever.
Does she speak French?
No, well, she might, but like they're all English speaking.
Okay.
And so she starts working at this bookshop, and she's learning the rare book trades, and she's learning about all these books, just wildest dreams coming true type of thing. And then Armand is obviously there, and he's like, oh hey. And so of course they get down, but she's been a virgin up until this point, so she just falls in love with Armand. They sleep together. A little bit after, she sees Armand in the park with another woman.
No!
Wait a sec.
His sister.
No, definitely his girlfriend. And so she sees Armand and is all like, never again will I be taken like advantage by a man. And he's
her
all like,
first time.
he sees her though, and is like, oh, really? No. And he like chases her down. And she's like, I saw you with this woman. And he goes, that, yes? Okay, hold on. I owe you an explanation. Yes, that is my girlfriend. Like, and that was me breaking up with her. Like, you are who I want. You are who I want to be with. Technically speaking, Armand cheated on his girlfriend with Opaline, right? But the next day, he's like, it's Opaline. It's Opaline all the way, and I'm done with this.
I don't think I'm okay with this though.
I don't know. But she's kind of like, I love you so much. Like, doesn't want to admit it, right? Long story short, who's this famous American author? His name is
Mark Twain.
No. Give me more. Male American author.
Charles Dickens.
No, he's British.
He's okay.
So this famous American author is in Sylvia's bookshop, and Opaline is just like stocking the shelves, and he's just making like douche snide remarks at Opaline, and she's just like, don't even, like, you don't know who, like, whatever. But he's there because they're doing a story on him. So he's a famous, like,
Is it Hemingway?
Yes, it is Hemingway. It is Hemingway. That's who it is.
Because I'm like, American, a little douchey, 1920s, Hemingway.
Hemingway.
Okay.
It 100% is Hemingway. And so the media is there, going to do a story on him, and they take a picture, and Opaline is in the picture that goes into the newspaper stocking shelves. Well, that newspaper pops off, right? And so, and goes to England, and goes to France, and goes to America, and all these places, whatever. Okay? Because of that newspaper clipping, Opaline's brother finds her.
Oh, shoot.
And says, oh, where's that shop? And so he goes to France and shows up and is all like, hi, sis, you're coming to get married right now. And here's my friend, and this is who you're going to marry. And I don't remember. He's like some douche. And Opaline's like,
Ryan Reynolds.
yeah.
Well, I picture her brother being, oh my gosh, Taylor Swift's ex.
The British kid?
Which one?
The British kid. What is
know.
his freaking
Not
name?
I
Taylor.
don't know, London boy.
Yeah, London.
But, and so she's like, I'm not going anywhere. And he goes, yes, you are. You're coming with me, and I'm not leaving you're not leaving my sight until you do. So we're leaving first thing in the morning, yada yada yada. So he's like staying at her like apartment or like staying nearby or whatever, and she's like, I gotta get out of here, and she's thinking about getting out, and then in the middle of the night, someone breaks in. It's Armand, and Armand's like, let's go, and like breaks her out, and he's like, you're not gonna be stuck with this. I'm not gonna let that happen to you. They go to Sylvia because he's taking her to the bookshop, and he goes, you can't take me to the bookshop. That's the only place my brother knows where to find me. But he's like, nope, I need to go to Sylvia. No. Goes to the bookshop, goes to Sylvia, and they say, we got to get her out of the country. We got to get her out of here. We need to protect Opaline. And Sylvia says, I got a guy. He's in Ireland, in Dublin. So you got to go to Dublin. Like, that's where I'm going to send you. Ask for Fitzpatrick, Matthew Fitzpatrick at this place. He owns a bookshop, right? Like, he's a good friend, whatever. I'm going to send you on the way. So she says goodbye to Armand.
Aww.
And
He does not go with her?
he does not go with her.
Oh,
He
till
stays
we meet again.
And she gets on a ship in the middle of the night, with a couple of books and a dream,
To Dublin.
and goes off to Ireland. Okay, gets to Ireland. She goes to Ireland and meets Matthew Fitzpatrick, who's an Irish bloke, and his dad, Mr. Fitzpatrick, has passed away, and Matthew now owns this. It's like it's a bookshop, but not just books. It's what is like some weird like
An apothecary.
it's bits and bobs and antiques and just tinkering, like just a weird mystical type of shop, right?
Do you want thingamabobs?
I got plenty. And so
And is he like her age, or is he okay?
yeah,
Is
Matthew's
this Andrew
her.
Garfield?
No, Andrew Garfield's present day.
Oh,
I haven't cast
okay.
Matthew yet because
Okay.
he's not a super huge.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, he's not. He is a big role.
How old is he?
They're in their 20s or 30s at this
All
point.
right.
I think I don't know.
Okay, let's cast Matthew.
and so Matthew is basically like, okay, like, who are you? And kind of feeling her out, and he takes her to the shop, and she's just like enamored by the shop, and just like, oh my gosh, this is the dream. I have a dream to be a book dealer and all of this stuff. And he goes, well, the shop is yours if you want it. You can not giving it, but you can you can manage it, yada yada yada. She goes, well, I don't have a place to stay. There's an apartment underneath the shop, right, like in the basement, that you could live. That comes with it. I can't pay you much, but if you flip this place around and get it going, then you have a job and the shop is yours. I need someone to do it for me anyway. Right now it's collecting dust, and it's just kind of weird and quirky and like that sort of thing. And so she's like, yes, absolutely, sign me up. I'm going to do this. So she starts doing it, and she starts renovating the shop, and because there's so many quirks and like things, she turns it into like a themed bookshop. So like she'll put books in the window, but then she'll find all these antiques and collectibles, and it turns the whole window into a theme highlighting the book.
That's
right
fun.
And so she's making the most of what she can, and then all the while remembering what Sylvia taught her and trying to like get the shop in shape and yada yada, until one night she's downstairs sleeping, and she hears something upstairs, and she says to herself, Opaline? And she now goes by Opaline Gray instead of Opaline Carlisle to protect her.
Yeah.
So she hears some stuff, and she goes up, but she describes it it's very well written. She describes it as like, I don't know why I'm going upstairs. Like, someone could have broken into the shop, and this is really not safe for me, but I don't feel scared at all. Like, I just feel. So she goes upstairs.
Armand.
It's not Armand. And so she goes upstairs, and it's pitch black, and she's looking around. She's like, hello, hello. And there's a bookcase that is open, and she goes, oh, how did that bookcase get open? She closes the bookcase, turns around, hears something, turns back around. The bookcase is open again, and a book is on the floor. And she goes and picks it up, and it's Dracula, which is kind of like eerie and weird or whatever. She goes, why is Dracula here? And she just feels, I need to read Dracula right now. So she takes Dracula down, and she just reads it through the night and just burns through this book, right? And so that's your first instance of like the shop is kind of speaking to her, right? Continues running the shop for a little bit. She goes back to England, risking it, going back to England. She dresses, kind of like cuts her hair short, dresses like a man because she doesn't want to be seen in England, but she has some leads on some books from Emily Bronte. And the whole point of this Emily Bronte book is that there's a book by Emily, and then there was a second book that was never written. but there's rumors that there's a manuscript for it, and she's like super into finding it and really wants to find it, right?
It's like you and Pokemon cards.
Yeah, basically. So she goes back to England, and in England, she's in England for a while, and she's like doing some book auctions, and she runs into Armand, and Armand is in
You
England.
have to do the hand.
Armand, and Armand is in England and doing his rare book thing, and she gets the idea that like, holy crap, either you work for really rich people or you are really rich, because he's like, he has a name in the book world, and like he's like, oh, my client, and they're bet hundreds of pounds on these old
They haven't
books.
discussed this?
They did a little, but not tons. She was kind of like, you know what I mean? And so anyway, there's this one bit where it's the original manuscript of Alice in Wonderland, and like he bids a bunch of money on some American, ends up getting it, and whatever else. So
Stupid Americans.
And she runs into Armand. They slowly start to rekindle their relationship, more intercourse. But there's no sex scenes thus far. It's just we had sex again.
Not really spicy.
Yeah, no spice. But as she's in England, she's like, I kind of am slowly starting to fancy Matthew a little bit. But all the while saying, I don't need a man. You know what I mean? But she's also kind of like, why am I so drawn to Matthew? And like, as she's kind of hooking up with Armand in England, she's thinking about Matthew in Ireland. She goes back to Ireland, finishes her time, and Armand goes back to France. It's just kind of like a summer loving type thing. It's not even that long. It's like a week or something. She goes back to Ireland, and Matthew, the one night, Matthew and her end up having like this moment over books, and they kiss. Matthew has a wife and kids and a family. Well, it's never I wonder, because it kind of paints it like that, but you've never met his wife and you've never met his kids. But he's talked about how he has a family. And like, anyway, so they kiss. And
What
it's
about,
like,
sorry,
no, yeah.
Bridgerton, season 3? Who's the lead?
Colin?
No idea.
Well,
Dates Penelope.
I don't know. Luke Newton is his real name. I could see it. Can he do an Irish accent?
I feel like any of them can, yeah.
And so she fancies Matthew. They kiss each other. Yeah.
Sorry. What about Adam Livingston?
That's
And
who,
I'm the wife and kids that he's kissing Opaline?
Opaline
Yeah,
Gray.
right. Not once, not never.
Okay, I forgot to mention, while she was in England, her research took her to an old woman who has a connection to Emily Bronte. And she goes and meets with this old lady, and the old lady's like, I don't have anything for you. I'm sorry, I don't know any books or anything like that. She goes, but I do have this small little like tin case that we believe this belongs to Emily, or whatever. And Opaline's kind of discouraged. Thank you, not what I came for. Throws it in her bag. Gets back to Ireland. She might have even kissed Matthew prior to going to England at the time. But they haven't kissed since. They haven't done it. It was a very much like a, wow, we just bonded, and we can't do this type thing. They shut it down. He's very nice, and he comes and checks on her and that sort of thing. She continues running the shop. As she's building and as she's renovating and as she's adding to it, she just feels more enamored, and more books are calling to her and all of this stuff, right? And she remembers, oh my gosh, I have that little stinking tin that might be Emily Bronte's. She goes, she opens it up. She describes it as, it was so unmagical, like that I didn't even think anything of it. And inside there's like, it's little stupid stuff, nothing of significance. And as she's feeling around the bottom of the tin, she feels a little like compartment, so to speak, and she pops it open, and there's a small, tiny black notebook in this bottom little secret compartment. She's like, what the heck? What could this even be? Opens it, starts to reading, and it's describing a book, or it's like an excerpt of a book, and the initials in the book are E something B, Emily Bronte. And she realizes, oh my gosh, this is Emily Bronte's notebook. She's like, oh my gosh, this is an excerpt from the book, like
from the manuscript.
From the manuscript. Oh, look, I found, and so she writes it down herself, and she writes it like just says, I need to have this for myself, because this is at some point, this is history, this is amazing, this is going to sell, this is going to whatever, I want this for myself. And so it's really tiny writing in the book, because it's a tiny notebook, and Opaline says, I want it to be as close as it can to the purpose. So she makes really small writing and tries to condense it, make it all how it should have been, how it looked and that sort of thing. That is where we leave Opaline's timeline.